It is Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central European Time, which means we are in our happy place. Welcome to Starter Frame 1 for today's episode. Glad you find your way to the stream. And I am really looking forward to whatever we're gonna do today, as always. So that said, let me first mention our let's wait. The Chester Music Lab. Let me tell you a little bit about the Chester Music Lab. It is a recording studio, quite a cozy one, and with a lot of nice people working there here in sunny Barcelona. And they were kind enough to give me a track that I can use for the intro today. So a big shout out. Check them out. The best way to get an idea of what they are doing is looking for Chester sessions on YouTube. And if you check them out, you're gonna see a pretty cool intro for the Chester sessions on their channel, which has been done by me. Yeah, you heard right. It was done by me. I did a intro for them. A pretty nice one. It was so much fun, all completely frame by frame animated. If you are interested in how it is made, or how it was made, check out my homepage and look up the Chester Music Lab project, where I posted quite some insights on the process and a little breakdown of how everything was done. So that said, I want to jump right in and start enjoying. I already started enjoying that, but now I'm really starting enjoying, and by switching over to our to the software of our choice, which is, as it's been for quite a few streams now, Krita, the free open source software, which I'm not affiliated at all. I just like the app as we started to test it um, throughout the stream, and ever since haven't looked back, to be honest, as it is quite fun to animate in Krita compared to other softwares like Photoshop, which I used before Krita, besides Adobe Animate. So that said, if you are interested in doing frame by frame animation and you don't have any idea where to start, well, you would need probably a software. And what better option is there than a free software? So check it out. Grita is the name. And as we always do, I'm gonna start with a little warm-up. A warm-up, as I haven't drawn anything so far today, and I first wanna get a little bit of a just a, as always, just a few very random lines as we want to start to get a little bit better feeling and to loosen up our arm, our hands. Happy Wednesday to you, Jack, as well. How are you doing, my friends? Hope you are doing great today. I'm really happy. It is already 2 p.m. I was really looking forward to it. I would love to do this every day, but sometimes there are things coming in your way which you may call life. So yeah, let's see. But I'm really, the cool thing about the stream is like I try to keep it going, and although all the rest of my responsibilities are on fire, this is the moment when I just can reset and just relax, even if it's just for 2 hours. So I felt like I have to share the music that I'm listening today on the chat if you are interested. Today I'm listening to a very cool online radio show which is called Chances with Wolves. Very cool if you like the music, not so cool if you don't like it, obviously. I pretty much enjoy it. I think they upload every week, maybe a 1 hour stream. They're located in Brooklyn, I think, New York. And yeah, check them out. Pretty cool. And for those of you who are wondering why I don't have any background music, it is just because I don't think that everybody would enjoy my choice of music, and so just put on your own music and enjoy the stream with my soothing voice and the music of your choice. All right. So this seems like a kind of a bean to me, like at least a head. So what else could we put in there as eyes? Okay, so we got our eyes, and I don't know. I've thought about bean, and then there is directly the beanie. So a little beanie here. And what character would it be done in Start by Frame 1 if he wouldn't have a mustache? So Bean, mustache, I don't know. We're going straight to, let's see. I don't know, this is always my go-to mustache. We can see if we get stuck with the character and develop it a little bit further and want to try out other mustaches here, but for now this is what's in stock for today's warm-up. And we still have our run cycle for today, and for those who haven't seen it yet, be prepared. Okay, so definitely already having, let's put in some neck here. Okay. It's interesting, like the moment I drew this line to define how thick the neck will be, things happened in my mind. I don't know if I liked it though, not too much. I want to change it a little bit. So how have you been all doing since we split ways on Monday? I am still quite swamped, and partly it is because I think suddenly there's all this weird stuff that I have to do, like bureaucracy and document stuff, and it's just, that's why I was so looking forward to the stream today, as I don't have to dial any stupid numbers, be in line, and wait until somebody, after spending hours in line, tells me, I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. And nowadays you think like I don't know, like the medics already do it. You can have a video call examination, but they're still not able to do like those whole stupid paperwork stuff. You have to be present so you can hand them the copy of your passport personally, which is very important. So yeah. Oh man, I haven't checked out your 11 seconds challenge, Jack. I will do that directly after the stream. Promise. How are you? How is it going? Have you done a lot of lip syncing? Because I haven't done any so far, and it really seems kind of difficult. Oh yeah, and I'm really looking forward. I think on 16th, now 6 days left, I finally can start my online class with Aaron Blaze about character expressions. And if you don't know who Alan Blaze is, he is I think he's called the creature teacher or something like that on Instagram, and he's quite specialized on, as the name says, creatures. So he's a former Disney animator and brought us creatures like the Beast, and was also involved in The Lion King. So I saw his class online, and pre-ordered it for $24. So having a former Disney animator teaching you character expressions for $24, what you gonna do? Okay, so here we have a character. What should we do with him? Should we render it a little bit more? Should we go directly to our run cycle? Do we want to make any changes on the character? I don't know. It's very easy to get like carried away with this stuff. We could at least, well, we're gonna save it for sure. So in case we should ever get be short on characters to animate, we probably gonna have a huge archive after a while, which, well, we already have some pretty cool things that came out of our warm-up doodles from the stream. All right. We leave it here. And what else? Oh yeah, I did a little bit more studying, and I found an interesting video again from David Finch, which you can find on the YouTube playlist with the name tutorials. So I save all kind of tutorials that I use and help me to improve. And so I found this video of his, and it's about torsos, male torsos. So here's a little bit of a study that I started off, which you see here, like still so out of proportions, and this doesn't even look like a male. It's more like a female torso. And this is basically the very first step he explains to draw without the arms. That's why the arms are looking so weird, because it's not covered in the video. And then he goes a little bit deeper how to build on that basic shapes. So what I normally do is I watch the video and I pause at a certain point where I think, okay, now I have enough information to start studying that stuff. So I try to learn it by heart, whatever was drawn here, which is not too difficult. So it's not learning by heart means you need months to get a round shape with a cylinder and some kind of a pelvis stuff. So so I drew them a few times just to get it in my head what kind of shapes I need, and then I continued with the video, and the next step was to build on those simple shapes and get a little bit more details. I think, well, the pelvis is super huge here, doesn't really fit in there, and those two guys, they seem as well a little bit shaky. So I'm pretty happy with the torso. If you take out the pelvis, this is quite all right. Here, something weird is going on with his neck. This arm looks quite off, and here the whole pose, it seems like he's falling backwards. So yeah, a lot of room for improvement here. But I thought I'm gonna share with you what I'm working on right now. Just you see if maybe there are some decisions throughout the stream that may be explained with those kind of studies. All right, we save our doodle for now, and I think I'm gonna jump in right here, and we're gonna have a look at what we have so far here. So I have an overlay of the stuff This is basically what we've done in the last stream. It's our run cycle. And these shapes or the animation is based on a illustration that you now see. It's this guy, and I don't know, I don't remember who to give credit to, but on Facebook on some group it was suggested that this piece is called 9 to 5, and I really like the name. And I already have so much other ideas based on this initial idea, and we're gonna see if we can create some kind of a series of this specific topic. Well, we will see. It's always a problem when you have too many ideas and not enough time. And so let's first get this guy going, and then we're gonna continue. Okay, so I basically broke down the whole character in very simple shapes, which is not too difficult with this character. But even those hands without the fingers, I see them as a sphere. The body here is obviously a sphere. The head, at least the upper part, is a sphere. So basically what I wanted to do is break it down and just start with simple bouncing balls. And to get an idea of the timing, to get an idea of the movement, and to not have them bounce all simultaneously, we started to offset them. So we have secondary animation. So as you see, the head is basically bouncing counterwise to the body, and the hands are even more delayed as they are further away from the body, and they drag the time. The delay is basically it's more time that they need to get dragged by the body. And we already added in the feet, the legs, which works fine. What I now want to do before we actually add in more details is to animate this fishing pole here, as this is gonna bounce as well. And it's probably bouncing. We could use our head as a reference. Maybe they have the same bounce, or we just, let's see. All right, now we're gonna do some animation here. This is a guide layer. Let's call this guide. All right. And I only want to concentrate on, basically we have two elements that we want to take care of. It's this very end of our pole here, and this bill, this dollar bill here, because they also gonna bounce counterwise. Let's see. So I just draw in a very simple sphere, and I'm doing the same thing. Okay, let me see. I still have to activate my whole F. How do you call them? The F keys on the keyboard. I don't know why I have to do this all the time. Okay, so I put in a new empty keyframe. And I want to get my onion skin. And let's see how far we're gonna do this bounce. See, maybe here. And now I'm going to draw in between. And I just treat it like it was just a bouncing ball, although we don't have any. There's probably no stretch or squash in this part of the pole, but okay, and then we're gonna have a in between here to finally reach our initial position again. So now I want to make sure I have this here. And I'm gonna copy that. There we go. So simple bouncing ball who's now synced. It's in sync with the body, which is a good way to start off, but it would only bounce simultaneously with the body if this would be just such a rigid pole that it's not even bouncing at all. It would just move with the body, which is, if this is actually physically realistic. Anyways, we don't want physically realistic, so we want to have it bouncing. So now I try to, I'm gonna get rid again of those, as I want to now shift the whole animation and offset it. And I want to offset, I'm looking now for the lowest point of our body volume, which is here. And I want this to be the highest point of my bouncing ball here. So okay, so now this drawing and this drawing are overlapping. And now I'm gonna copy those. We only have a playback till frame 27 as there our loop. It's gonna come back here, and let me see, I now have to think how this will be done. All right, so now I just offset the whole bouncing ball, synchronizing the highest point of the small bouncing point with the lowest point of our body, and then just created the loop. And this would basically be our reference for the end of our fishing pole. And this way we basically just have to draw this handle, if you want to call it like this, of our fishing pole. We're just gonna animate this attached all the time to our body. and then basically do our connect this dot, if you want, with the handle. And now I want another bouncing ball that represents this. I get a separate layer just to keep it a little bit more clear. And this would actually now just animate, I don't know, if I want to have it counter moving to this point, to this dot. So it would move simultaneously to the body. And this. We're gonna copy this frame. Here we're gonna need an in-between. I set a empty keyframe, and here I paste our initial position. So here now we're gonna draw in. And I copy it to make everything, to have everything be looping. Hey Atrip, how are you doing? Nice to see you here. So complete counter movement is not really working. I want this to be possibly okay, let me think for 1 second. Okay, this looks good. So what I'm having here, let me see. Copy it, I get rid of those. To make it loop. Okay, oh, there's something not working correctly. See, go up. Okay, okay, I get it. We have to pop it like this. All right. Okay, what did I do? Roland in the house. How are you, my friends? So, what I wanted to accomplish, just think about. We have now if our pole was bent like this, right? And then it bounces up. I want the dollar bill to be dragged by this end, so it will go up. But I don't want it to go up instantly, like synced with this end of the pole. I want it to be dragging behind, so I want to offset a little bit. So you see, this starts to move up, and this one is still in its position as it's dragging behind. And then now it starts its movement. So now the two are offset. And I'm wondering how far I want to offset them, because I could imagine that we want it even more. Let's try to push it a little bit. You like the bouncy thing when he starts walking? What do you mean with the bouncy thing? Attribute. And Roland, to explain what we've done so far, we basically broke down our character into very, very simple shapes, which in this case, we started with the body that we just treated as a bouncing ball to understand or to set the timing and how it's gonna be moving. And then we used basically the same bouncing ball for the hands and for the head, but we offset them. So we have a secondary animation that is overlapping to make it more organic. And now the only thing that is missing as a for reference in order to make everything to start with our details is this fishing pole, which is gonna be bouncing as well counterwise to the body. And the dollar bill is gonna be bouncing counterwise to the end of the fishing pole, if that makes sense. So we wanted to, because I think I like the idea when the fishing pole already bounces down, the dollar bill is still in an up movement. So here the fishing pole comes down, and the dollar bill has already reached its highest point. So I think I want to push this a little bit more. And now it's getting a little bit confusing. I'm gonna color those. This is my first pose, and with this drawing I have a loop which now can be copy paste. We are here. This here. So let's see. So now it's even a little bit more counter moving. As you see, now the pole is gonna come down while the dollar bill is moving towards towards the fishing pole. And that's what I wanted to have. I think that's gonna look quite alright. All right. Let me clean those additional drawings so it won't get too messy. Now we're gonna merge those two, as I think as a reference they're already set, and I think I'm gonna merge it as well with our body layer, which is basically our other bouncing balls that help us to as a reference. Merge with layer below. Okay. I'm a genius. I am. Now it's if when you do this a few times, it makes sense. And it didn't come that natural to me to understand those counter movements, but it's really nicely explained in the Animator Survival Kit, which again, always handy. This book, if you are interested in any kind of animation, 3D, keyframe, or frame by frame, this book is definitely a very, very helpful tool to understand the principles of animation that can be applied to nearly any technique, stop motion or whatever. So now this is our basic, I call this, now this is our guide. No, it's not even a guide. We already have quite some details in it, but this is the base on which we're gonna build bit by bit. What fascinates me about hand-drawn animation, I never considered hand-drawn animation as a technique that would actually make sense to learn, because it seems so out of range, so complex, so complicated, so weird, that when starting animation or moving images or whatever, this was never an option. After Effects was the thing. And but I always, once I saw at the beginning, there were only a few things besides Disney movies and so on that you were able to see frame by frame animated. And every time I saw them, I found this is the most amazing thing ever, because it looks so, the possibilities are unlimited compared to what I knew till this point in After Effects. And so I always had an eye on it, as I was fascinated about the possibilities, but still felt very intimidated by only trying to do such a thing. But when I started with when Photoshop came with the timeline option, and I was trying a little bit the frame by frame technique, just playing around and just do one drawing after the other, very abstract thing, I started to like it, because I've always been drawing, and I think I didn't draw that much when I started really to get into After Effects, and because then I was fascinated by that. But when I came to the frame by frame animation, it was like the circle was closed, and then suddenly I found a medium where I could combine my passion for drawing and animation, and bit by bit characters came in. So I just really like the idea that you are only limited to time, but as well like your craft, your skills in drawing, and you have to hone your skill in drawing in order to get your visions that you have in your head onto the paper, which is, I think, in most art forms, the ultimate goal, to get on paper, on screen, or whatever, your vision. The beginning, what you get on the screen or on paper sucks and is not comparable with what you had in mind, maybe. And then bit by bit you refine it. So yeah, basically this whole rant just on short, I love drawing, I love animating, so hand-drawn frame by frame animation was basically the holy grail. All right. So what are we gonna do now? Still, the hands are very floppy, and I got quite a nice Twitter comment on the animation. Um, Basically says that there are some nice booby grabbing hands there, and yeah, I I see that, and I, as you, if you have been watching on the last stream, we had a little bit of changes in the hands because they were too floppy, and still may be the case, but I think we could add other details first and then look again at the hands once we have a little bit of a bigger picture there. Okay, so let's do the head. On here, what are we going to do? Put in another layer? Who cares? Let's just drop layer on layer on layer on layer. When needed, we can still merge them down. So not getting too much into details, and now just put in the hands, the nose. And the teeth. Okay. Now you see, though, instead of drawing just a sphere, which make it so much easier to animate, we have this kind of cheekbone here, which is gonna, let's not make, it doesn't make it too complex, but a sphere would be easier. Always have that in mind as we were talking about it in the last stream. Every detail is an additional problem when you do the animation. Okay, so now we're gonna have a stretch. I'm gonna lose our reference here, as I just wanted to get the first head right. Now and now we stretch the whole thing. Let's see, here's our bouncing ball, which is our base shape for what you see here. Then we can bring in this cheekbone and our teeth. So now I use the onion skin just to have a slight reference to draw a very first version of this new drawing, of this new frame in our animation. But then I wanna toggle between the frames to actually see if the movement works. So and here don't get too lost in the details, because this is just one frame in your animation, which is quite forgiving afterwards because it passes by so fast, so you don't actually see all the details. I don't even know if we would see or if it would be that bad if we lost this cheekbone. So now I'm just checking if this is working. I think the eyes have to be stretched even more. And Okay. And as you see here, the cheekbone is more or less like aligned as it was like some kind of a circle around the eye here. So I want to bring that down a little bit more. Okay. This looks weird, but we leave it for now. As I said, this is just one image. Here I want to have some of the curvature of the skull. So, okay, this looks better, but still feel okay. We're gonna continue anyways now. Okay, now we have our squash here. I add a new one. So here's our reference. And this is, I would keep it loose because now as I draw in more details, for example, here I see maybe this would make even more sense to not stretch it too much. Because if I feel the stretch, I want to keep the volume, although it transforms, I want to keep it consistent. So here it feels very small, the volume, so I'm already adding a little bit of volume here and make it a little bit bigger. So now we bring in our teeth. Okay, somewhere here should be this chin, is cheekbone. Let's just bring a little bit of a guide layer. So now the nose as well is going to be squashed. The eyes as well. So here now this cheekbone sits quite well. Let's keep the eyes more or less the same size. Teha, it's Wednesday indeed, and welcome to the happy place where we don't care about anything, just animation. We leave our worries and sorrows at the door. Okay, here now we have a, I'm wondering because now here we have another stretch, a squeeze, no, stretch, squeeze, squash, whatever. Now this is a stretch. So maybe we can reuse this one. Let's be a little bit lazy. Well, we're not lazy, we are just efficient, all right? So and we get back to our initial head. So this one definitely is going to be copied. And now we have one loop circle, but the whole animation is going to be two loop circles. So I just copy, paste it. Here I don't. Right. So this is one of those magic moments, this exciting moments where you finished one element to animate and now finally hitting the play button. Yeah, I feel every time the head is squashed, the eyes just go over there. So I may want to, yeah. So I want to keep them in line. So here I see the nose as well. So just bring everything a little bit over here. And this eye, well, let's push it like here's the eye before. And we're gonna copy this for the get my onion skin off. This one feels a little bit. Okay. So again, just copy it and paste it on top, override. Now it's not that much of a shift. Works better for me. And we're done with our head for now. While we still have several elements that we want to get in there to okay. So now we can bring in the arms maybe. And for the arms, I think, no, let's do the head. Could work with the hands. Let's just try to do it on the run. I was thinking now just maybe we could start drawing a kind of a reference point here to make first sure we have that right. See, so afterwards we just have to connect them, and instead of drawing all the arms and then seeing later on if it's working, maybe we could just reduce it to this very basic circle here. Oh, now we have already. Oh, okay. So here I want to make sure I get the right position to make it loop. And now I can just copy. Can I though? Yeah. I just now this is an interesting thing. Like now I see as it does a circular movement, it seems like it's getting further away and then coming again to the front. But the hands are all only moving vertically. So I'm now wondering if we should as well push the hands back, or if the arms are just stretching whenever his, let's say this is his shoulder, whenever the shoulder is getting more to the back and the hands stay in the same position, so the arm is just gonna be stretched. We can make a test and see if this is some kind of a, if this works or if this would look weird. But just to show you, so it made really perfect sense to only build in this reference point first, so you can see quite easily if there is something not really working or something is off. Here it's off, but I'm not that concerned about it. It's worth trying to continue as we are right now. But having in mind, if it afterwards looks weird, it may probably be because we have a movement here as well, horizontally on this reference point. What's the story, the meaning behind the animation? That's a good question. To be honest, the whole creation of this character was on the fly, so there was no concept from the beginning. It was actually only a warm-up drawing, and bit by bit it evolved. And because of the pose, sometimes you, or not the pose, but I was explaining, when I draw, I always feel like I try to make forceful strokes, so there's always some movement in the strokes, and out of those forceful strokes, you suddenly see perspective, you see a certain dynamic, which then led to more or less the character. And once the character was more or less in his position, I think we started to add elements like the tie when we created the character. And I think out of the tie, there was suddenly this kind of office worker. And as I wanted, then suddenly I thought, well, why wouldn't we could do a run cycle? Why would he run? What's the idea behind him running? And so there was like bit by bit the pieces fell together, and the the dollable actually was hanging from outside the image at the beginning, which I didn't like. So I thought it would be better to attach him to the body. So we have a like a cropped image without any elements that come from outside. So we later adding maybe typography or whatsoever. It's more flexible to scale it and position it. And the other cool thing is just to have another secondary animation here. So the story came out of like by accident, let's say. The left leg is lagging behind. You mean his leg, his left leg, or from our point of view? You also have to have in mind, like, we are not animating right now on twos. That's why the animation is not that fluent. And I think the movement of the legs, but I think I see what you mean. this pose here, let's see how this leg here is. Now it's 1 frame, 2, 3, 4, and then we change. And on this pose, it would probably be cool to have it go quicker. I'm gonna continue, and then we're gonna see how, when everything comes a little bit together, if we do some changes. Now trying to think how we could make a quick test here. And the legs are okay. No, they're not. Okay, that's good. So at least they're on a separate layer, so we can edit them separately and don't have to redraw too much, so we can just play around with the timing. So now this one here, okay, so I think I want to it's so difficult to drag and drop with Gritter, especially when your layer is locked. So that's probably the so there we go. Okay, now I'm gonna, let's see. Now they're not, probably not quite correctly attached. Does this look better to you, Thea? I think it does. I will leave it like that. So because I think it makes sense, because this is probably like the point here where you want the legs to pass as fast as possible, and then slow them down once they reach their final pose. And here we have to, they are overlapping here, but I don't see a problem at that. So we just have to duplicate here our leg layer, our leg drawing, and get this out. And afterwards, if we really want to animate it on 2, so add in more in betweens, we're gonna have a more fluent animation. So yeah, thanks a lot for the hint, and I think it improved our animation. So or maybe you meant a completely different thing and we just improved by accident, but it's improvement. So okay, so now the arms. Let's see. We could actually do a interesting, like let's see here for example, this pose, like look at the hands and where the shoulders are. This is probably the most stretched pose, all of them. So here we frame 13. Now let's see. Thea is still not satisfied here, I think. You mean that one? So maybe there are some problems with the perspective. I could see that. Let's see, which would I'm quite sure would, if this is what bothers you. And I think this will be reduced by afterwards adding more volumes and hard shadows to it. So it's gonna be clearer that this leg is basically over here. And what also could help, and what are we doing here? Okay, I'm on the wrong layer again. So legs, we want legs. So afterwards I would draw in those hard shadows, which makes our volumes a little bit more easy to read. But I think we could also switch like a little bit this knee cap. Let's tweak this a little bit and change the perspective on the leg. So it's more rotated towards this way. And here it would be also a hard shadow. So this knee is looking towards us, while this one is supposed to go more into this direction. All right, now let's get to the hands. You continue giving me feedback. While you may be writing right now or whatsoever, if you're good with the changes for right now, I'm good, and I think all you said was absolute had made sense. So what I wanted to do is, now here we have, let's have a full screen. Now this is quite a stretch, literally. All right. And here our arm won't be that visible. So what I am thinking is, when this stretch is a little bit more relaxed, let's see where the closest. Maybe here. We actually have the arm a little bit more like dangling. Get a little bit more of a so here it still seems quite far away, so we stretch it. We're gonna see how this works out. So, and this one would probably be around here. Let's see, where are we? Okay. That's one thing I still have to figure out how to handle that. And when you don't actually draw on top of an existing keyframe and you just draw here in between, it just adds a new keyframe with the additional information, but it doesn't add the information on the last keyframe that was set. And that is kind of a double-edged sword, because I I think it's pretty helpful because instead of creating a new keyframe, you just draw on top of it and it creates it, which is cool. But if you actually want to alter the already existing information on the existing keyframe, you always have to get on top of that keyframe. So, but this is only as I'm used to this kind of stuff from Adobe Animate. I first have to relearn this step. It's just old habits. It's basically when you're used to After Effects, it's the same thing. When you're not on top of your existing keyframe and you alter any attribute of your layer, After Effects is automatically adding a new keyframe to the attribute you just changed. Now let's see. Oh, it's a mess. Okay, now here is our keyframe. So this one is supposedly this one. Okay, all right, I got it. Okay, we would need a hmm. All right. Be prepared. Let's see how this looks. Don't really like it. And I definitely think it's because of the movement of the shoulders that going back. And I think we can just fix that and whenever, because it's gonna move backwards whenever the body is squashed. And I think we could definitely tweak that, and whenever the body is squashed, the shoulders come more to the front. So it is this pose here. as you see, and let's just try like this. This is very easy to change and make a test. Yeah. Want to try one thing that will make the arms a little bit more limber. That's when he I want it to be more curved here. Okay, now I don't know why, but Gritter just changed the opacity on my stroke. More schlabber look. Yeah, this makes it slubbery. So for all of you who don't know German, schlabber is more or less like limbery. Okay, is that good? I think so. Bring up a little bit our body volume to get a little bit more of an idea how it's. I think it works. What we could now add as well is when you look at our original design here, we have those kind of sleeves here. Let's add in those as well. Keep them more or less clean. So okay. Right. That looks good. And the last one, and then we can just duplicate things. I want to bring in already this one, so on our last in between we can already see like a reference here. Okay. Okay, so copy, paste, and what the? And hit it. Okay, that's good. So next thing, maybe we can bring in the, he doesn't actually have a neck. If you look at the reference, it's difficult to see the reference, but let me open it separately so we can see it a little bit better. Here, so here we go. Here it's not very clear, but I thought it would be fun to not actually have the head attached to the body. So there's no neck, but what we would have is the neck of his shirt. So we could add in this. And I'm now just wondering if we put it in first for our, now look at here, I also have a double keyframe. What did I change here? Nothing, so I get rid of it. So yeah, we could draw in the neck first on our reference. Bouncy balls. Let's see how. Okay. Let's get rid of everything else, including our reference, so we only can have a look at and I'm wondering what I'm having here. Okay, look, I want to put the neck as well on a separate layer because there are different drawings which I would have to repeat when I don't put them separately. So I just now do neck. This way I would also have it a little bit more. I can reduce the opacity as I need. So here it's coming down. I actually think we're gonna draw it in already, so let's see. So here would also be room for secondary animation like this this part of the neck could be flopping up and down, but I think we keep it cool now and just bring our animation home and not get too lost on the way. As we said before, we started this one, like the last animation was quite time consuming because we put in so many details, which was fun. But for the sake of improvement here, I want to reduce it a little bit because afterwards the cleanup process would take so much longer. Well, actually, no, because this element has to be drawn anyway. So, okay, I just convinced myself we're gonna put in a secondary animation here. So as the body is going down, here it flops up. Oh man. Now how would that perspective wise look like? So we would see is that correct? I think so. So the tie I'm going to draw differently as the movement of the tie is also going to be independent from the body, as we're going to have as well counter movement, and I want to keep that separately so I have the possibility to offset it easier. Just cheat here. Oh, the pens as well. Oh man, Taya, you're killing me. I don't think so. because because on the pens, I think we could just, or we could have done the same thing for the neck, just moving it all the time, which would be an option. So I could draw in here, just use the same keyframe and just moving it over. Look, let's save this one outside of our playback range. So let us let's do a rough first version, bring in all the other layers and actually see if we want to add in secondary animation in the neck. What okay. Yeah, to see if it actually would matter. It's always nice to know that it's there, but sometimes you just have to get it done, right? So what do we have here? Is there any? Okay, and we still have the possibility to, as we work digitally, so just let's embrace that and use this advantage. now let's get on the rest. And keep in mind, like later on, this will be all covered by the head. So there's probably only okay. So now what's happened pretty good that we put in the neck, because now I see the head, and although it's not attached, I would like to have it more or less like bounce off the neck. And this is not happening right here. So I feel like we have to readjust the position of the head. And now here comes the grabby part within Gritta. I am not able to mark all the frames of the head and move them just all together as they are to another position. I would have to grab each frame and reposition it, and I don't want to do that. So if there is anybody out there in the chat who has experience with Gritta and can help us out, it would be highly appreciated. So now I'm also want to get rid. Now we use colors as there were no tomorrow, as there was no tomorrow. So let's not do this and just mark actually the extreme poses here. So what are we going to do here? How's this? Okay. So until there is no response here, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna let's save this. Let's save a copy just in case. So here, this is at my lowest point, and it would make sense. So it bounces off more or less here. Let's get some onion skin. This one would be here. And this one would be here. And now I have the feeling we don't even see the neck. So let's make him bounce further away. Okay, now we're just messing with our original illustration, but I'm fine with that as long as it improves the animation. So we have in general the head more detached. Here I'm fine with it because, and then bring that up. Let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, and let's go for it. Works fine with me. But we have a problem with our fishing pole. Is this now will interfere. We really have it attached down here, and so it would have to make a bigger arc maybe. I'm now thinking maybe we can put the head more to the front and bring the neck down so it comes more, so it's coming. Let's make a test. Make a quick test. I'm gonna save this. And we're gonna add another version to this. So now the neck. Oh no, the neck. I said neck. This is now perspective wise not really working. So let's so we would look more from the top. And the perspective is also not really working. This would be and now I'm really glad we didn't do an extra drawing for the neck on each frame, because now I'm just doing one change here. And so now the head would come. I said the head. There we go. Would come more to this pose. I get rid of the keyframe. I just build and I copy this one, and see. I think I'm first gonna position the neck in a way that it moves as I would like to. Okay. So here we have to squash it a little bit. And we can copy, paste. So now see, I want to see the initial pose. Let's see if we can get it's not giving me what I want. No, I don't have any. So one cool thing in Krita, which I mention all the time when it comes to play, here I can actually tell him exactly what frame I want to see in the onion skin. I want to see the previous, the one before the previous, and so on. So now I don't want to see this one. I want to see our first position, so I have a little bit of better idea how that would look. So here we go. As I want it to be fairly aligned vertically. And here now I want to see if previous and the next one. just position that here. And this one can be copied. I want to finish the loop where I started it. And here again, we just position that here. All right. Let's see how it looks. Looks interesting to me because it feels like it may improve the silhouette. I don't really being that detached from the body, I feel like the bouncing is there's no how do I put this? It doesn't feel like actually the head bounces off of the body. And therefore it doesn't really make sense why it should bounce. Just because of an imaginary neck. What do you think? Any opinions on that? Let's open again the previous version and maybe compare it. So this is 3, and now I want to just open file number 2. Here the bouncing makes more sense. So I think I'd rather go with this solution and then later on see if we can tweak the position of the fishing pole. It's epic. Taya, thanks to your remark on the leg, it definitely is getting towards epic. Oh, and everybody, if you want to check out more, and if you want to see the final versions of our last animations, just check out on Instagram, started from 1. Feel free to follow. Feel free to like. Feel free to comment. Feel free to help out. All right. So okay, we go with this version. I'm gonna change it just for let's call this number 4, and we're gonna close. Same problem as we had in the last one. He asked me if I want to save number 18. Look what the file is called. So I would think I say no. Number 18, I'm fine. I did just work on number 20, and which happened once, and I lost information. And in frame by frame animation, you don't want to lose anything you worked on. And in general, you don't want it. So I just say yes because I know he means the other file. And if by any means a Greta developer is watching, this is one of the reasons I don't use Greta yet for client work, because I don't trust it enough. It is really a lot of fun working with it. It's fun and it's easy to use, but in order to make it work for client projects, I need more trust. Okay, So why don't we address directly the problem we have with our fishing pole? But before that, as we are now not overlapping shapes here, it feels like the original pose of our head here makes too much noise visually, so it's kind of confusing. So I want to get rid of it. I think I'm gonna go with this tool here. And get rid of that. We could actually consider to get loose as well of the bouncing balls that we use to build on our hands, just to make it a little bit more tidy here, in order to make the right decisions for our animation and not being distracted by any moving stuff that is actually not really relevant, or not relevant at all, because we decided against it. So okay, got it. So the fishing pole. New layer. I wonder if I can minimize windows to make a little bit more space. Well, I don't need, actually I don't need that one. I want to see, now as I get more and more layers, I probably want to see more of those. So now you see here the problem. And another thing which got lost with the head on in the front, it feels more dynamic to me. It feels more like he's trying to reach that bill. Here he's like any thoughts on that? Do you believe him? Do you believe that he actually wants to get that dollar bill, or is he just fascinated by the bounce of it? It looks like he's just like, oh wow, look at that bill. Oh, how's it bouncing? Ooh. But here now here you see like, I need that bill. I need that bill. And I like that better. Yeah, here he's just too uptight. He has to be more leaning forward. Means save as. Better save as. All right. So let's try to push it a little bit further. Let's see if this is enough. How far can we push it until it's not actually working anymore? With the neck at the same position. That's the thing, like the neck should be more. I said the neck. A bit more to the front. So here you again have those helpful guidelines in our volume. So I just now align it so it touches like this guideline here. Can I actually okay, now we try to get the head, push it a little bit. Okay. Good. Okay, I didn't duplicate the positions here, so at a certain point it goes back to the and I think I don't want to let it bounce that much. Bouncing is fun, but always have to know when you have enough. See, now this is not, it's reduced, but it's still bouncing. Okay, now I get a little bit more of the feeling like he's reaching to the front and needs to get the dollar bill. So we keep in mind that we had problems here. It was not that easy to figure it out. Now we're gonna add a little bit more things, and if anything is off or doesn't really look like it's supposed to be, there's one thing that some kind looks weird. It looks like the upper body, like if you think about like his neck, it's to the front and then he comes back. it's not that much better. Okay, bit by bit, we're getting loose. You would consider using AI to make 60 frames per second animations? What kind of AI? I've been looking into deep fake to actually synchronize my characters. I haven't found the right way yet, but there is definitely some interesting stuff going. Well, what do you have in mind, like with AI? Okay, so now I'm gonna put in the poll. Let's get the... So as you see here, the pole has to reach over his head. So in order to do that, we will need it to be a little bit more like so, which I don't think is gonna be a problem. And here again, I can use those guidelines to actually see where the thing is positioned. So I'm checking, okay, here is later on this line, we're gonna attach the duct tape. So the pole should be as well positioned like more or less here. Should be more thinner here, is maybe stretched as well. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. I have no idea if this works out. This is gonna look all right. Can you bring that part down? I think this drawing is funny. Like if you would just render out this drawing and put it on Instagram, whatever, there won't. Well, I don't know what kind of feedback you would get. But then in animation, it's probably more forgiving. Although I always try to keep like every drawing kind of a illustration on its own, but sometimes you need those complete deformations to make your animation actually work. Now here, I feel like we have a perspective. Shift. Still, I don't know if it makes sense, but I feel like weird perspective wise we're off when I look at the rest of the body, and especially this line, as I imagine it's going on on its back. It's like this, so the handle of the pole would be around here. But kind of looks all right. Okay, and this is again, let's color this to know we are here at our loop point. And now I mark everything. It looks all right, I think. If there are no concerns within the audience, I pursue with our masterpiece. Okay, and now basically what we want to do is connect this bouncing ball with this bouncing pole. And we have our fishing pole going now. Let's see how this is gonna turn out. So here our bouncing ball is at its lowest point. That means that our pole should be like the most bent. Let's see how far we, and our head is at its highest point, so this is probably the most extreme pose where pole and head are probably gonna be interfering. I just want to see which one is the, so this is the extreme on the other side, I suppose. So where the dot is at its highest and the pole is quite low, and this means our arc would be the least bent. And now we wanna get a more or less an in between. So here now you see with the onion skin on where those two extreme poses are, and I'm trying to reach over the head and make it an arc. I don't know. Doesn't feel too. Try normal in between here. Okay, there is another in between that we have to look at this one. So I now do it really loose. Again. Okay. I marked that one yellow, so I know those are additional in-betweens. Okay, it's at least I feel okay, the bouncing of the end of the pole is working. Which is not working yet for me are the arcs, because here's a pretty good example how arcs really represent where the force is coming from and where physics are taking place. And I think we want to work on that to make them. I think I'm gonna open up my canvas here on the top, because somehow I feel like it's limiting me, and it makes my arcs not really organically. Resize canvas here. So let's just change the height a little bit, so we're not influenced by the limits of our canvas here. So now I wanna here I only want to erase my drawings with the eraser, as I explained several times, to actually see what I did before and I don't want to have again. So in this arc, I want to have like the most tension around here. Let me, now I think I'm going to rotate the canvas to make this more organic for my hand. Like my hand now is positioned in a way that I think I'm gonna be able to get this arc. And this technique, or well, I don't know if it's from him, but like Mike Matisi, the guy I mentioned as well on other streams, also former Disney animator, who's teaching forceful drawing, which is basically what we exactly right now try to accomplish, is to use a fairly transparent stroke and draw this arc over and over again If I had a bigger screen right now, I think it would even be easier as I would go with my whole hand like so, and then you're gonna work out the perfect arc. And by using only a very transparent stroke, you can draw it over and over again until you see where the darkest parts are, which is normally where you want your force to be in the stroke. Let's see. Okay. Now let's get to the next one. I'm gonna try to do this now without onion skin. I just used the whatever I had before as a reference and try to get the force in there. And as I said the last time, every time I think about forceful drawing, and you have to feel where the force is, and all that talking about the force makes me feel like drawing, say, like an illustrator artist and like drawing artist is somehow kind of a Jedi. Now I'm wondering, like, I think the position here shouldn't change because it's just going. Oh, we also have another thing going on here, which I didn't had in mind. Because now we only. Well, let's talk about it. View. Where is it? Canvas reset. Canvas rotation. Somehow feels like the pole shouldn't only be moving up and down, but have kind of an arc here when it does it. I'm not sure how this is gonna influence the bouncing of the build though, so let's keep it simple for now. Let's just keep it bouncing up and down without any arcs. But just thinking about our pole right here from this pose to that pose, I feel like this part should stay quite the same. What's moving is this part here. So let's try this again and bring in our onion skin. Although I said I don't want to use it, so okay, I just erase that a little bit so I still see what I've done before. I don't want to have again. So the red line is from our onion skin. Let's try to keep this the same. Now see how we can hook up the okay, I did something here which I didn't want to do. No harm. So here it feels like it has to be pushed even out a little bit further. I raised it a little bit, but now you see here this part has evolved. The more strokes I put in, it's getting darker. Okay. So you know what I mean? Now it actually should be around here. Let's do it. Let's do this. Of course, this bouncing ball isn't on the same layer, so well, we will see if we get into any trouble with the, or not trouble, but complications with our dollar bill. Okay, and here we have this wrong reference. Just get it. All right. I'm not actually, I don't really know what the bouncing ball is doing here. Because this is our extreme pose, the lowest point of the ball. Then this is supposedly the getting up. Okay, okay. So it probably would be around here. Gonna erase our wrong reference. Gonna get rid of the pole here. Wrong layer. Okay, now this one is getting what? This one is getting down as the body moves down. Oh, it's all the way down here. Okay. Feels actually, because as this one moves so further down, the whole thing would be shorter. Well, not shorter, but we impossibly can be at the same height as the one before. Now we're getting really loose and off script here. I'm not going to do a test. Because I feel like the bouncing isn't correctly positioned. Okay, apparently I'm again on the wrong. Oh, I'm on the right one here. I'm so looking forward to hit the play button, but I want to finish it off first. So now I'm gonna. Something's off, and it's sort of like this pose here. Find this very interesting because you think we are just animating a stroke here. It's just a line, but apparently this is it's quite a big issue to master it here. And I think I'm okay. I'm I'm just now going with my guts here and see where this is going. And I think this is correct, and the pole here should be a little bit different. Gonna delete this one here. Let's see. Not happy, but okay, now we're getting somewhere. But I definitely feel like this ball doesn't feel too much. It doesn't feel attached to the ball at all. So we have to figure out how the the dollar bill is gonna be moving. And jump right into it. So let's get rid of this original. Oh, wouldn't even need that ball anymore here. So I feel we have to tweak a little bit of the timing here with the pole, because so here it shoots up. Well, no, it feels alright. But this part here. I'm gonna try to let it even shoot over the pole. Okay. It's getting messy. It's getting messy. Okay, I feel I need some system here. Okay, let's go with a let's number those poses of our pole here. This is 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 again. So we have 5 poses. So now we may want to get in a dollar bill. I'm now just gonna animate with the bouncing ball and then try to offset it. Let's get in our reference to see how low can you go? Okay, let's do it. Yes, dollar bill. So number 1. Number 2. Three. Or 4. And number 5. Okay. And now I want to offset it. And I want it to be offset by 4 frames. Wait. Just get my colors right so I don't lose track. So if in this one, this is not. Okay. Kind of having a little bit of struggle here. So we need this one. To get rid of. Okay, now let's try this again. So our cycle starts here. And will be finishing off here. Copy, paste. All right, jump on. I Okay, sorry for I kind of have to concentrate right now a little bit. So what I wanted to achieve here now. Let's try this again. Not really, right? Not really. What the hell is not? Oh, I have something is not really. Oh, it's also because they're giving me a really hard time here to display all the frames actually. If I offset it just by 2, that work. Okay. I think I have to. Well, look at that. It's really harder than I thought to have this dollar bill being bouncing off. Well, I think we have to take a closer look to that. It's not the best moment to finish the stream with the strugglings I have here. And I apologize for that, but that's the idea behind the whole stream, right? To step outside the comfort zone and resolve those problems. Maybe I find the time before Friday to get. I think I'm just gonna draw a new complete file and focusing only on that kind of bounce and see how those two elements behave. And so hopefully I find the time to do that and we can apply directly on Friday instead of just continuing just losing time on that part. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching today. And let's get rid of those 2 layers just to have a more satisfying finished or last look at our animation. I'm still I think it's a good thing that we stumbled upon that problem, so we can solve it and hopefully learn from it. And the rest of the clip is looking pretty good. Yeah, today was a little bit difficult as we also were struggling with the neck, with the head position. So yeah, last time was definitely more fluent, but that's happening. I mean, and I'm sure if we did it afterwards again, it will be so much more fluent. But it's the first time. I would say it's quite normal to feel to have those moments. So I'm still pretty happy where this is going. We still have a little way ahead, but well, we started today with bouncing balls. So now we have a head, we have arms, we have quite some elements, and we're gonna build on it on Friday, 2 p.m. Central European Time. So again, thanks for watching to everybody still connected. Drop me a line in the comment section what you think, what you would like to see more, what you didn't like. So I'm really open for constructive critique. Trying to mold the whole format to your needs, my needs. So this is all a process, and we started frame 1. So that's it. Have a great day. See you on Friday, and I'm really looking forward to it. Have a great day. Bye bye.